Welcome inside Geisman Gymnasium as the Cougars get set to host our rival Concordia University, Wisconsin in some MAC basketball this afternoon. Parker, you're joining me on the pregame show. You're going to be on the call, along with Carter Gledhill. But let's talk about today. Everyone's getting back from winter break, and it's an exciting game where, Jim's going to have some of those students coming back. It's going to be, a good time to see Concordia back at it athletics-wise. But let's talk about these two teams on the courts. The Cougars, they sit at 7-4 overall, but that 6-0 conference record is good enough for first place in the NAC. It's also the Cougars' most conference wins since the 2018-2019 season. So, Parker, it's been a very successful year for the Cougars already, and that continued this past Wednesday. They took on the Dominican Stars. Cougars won that game 76-60, and a big reason for that was a career night from Allison McGregor.
And Allison McGregor was one of the stories of the game. She led the team with 20 rebounds, which is the second most by a NAC player this season. It was also her career high, and she's been dominant on the glass all season for the Cougars. She'll be big tonight. Well,
another player who's been big all season for CUC and will be big tonight is, of course, Jaylene Wade. The floor general for the Cougars scored 15 points, added 5 assists versus Dominican, and even if those assist numbers might not have been where they usually are for Jaylene Wade, it was still a good game from her and shows that not only can she put that ball through the basket, she also knows how to distribute that ball really well to her supporting teammates.
Yeah, her vision of the court is one of the best that I've ever seen, and she leads the conference with 5 assists per game. She's also had 3 straight games in double figures. It'll be a good test for her tonight against a team that she had a career-high 8 assists last game. It'll be a great challenge for her.
Well, let's switch to the Falcons now. CUW sits 5-6 overall on the year, 4-2 in conference play. That's good for 5th place in the conference. They're coming off a loss, however. They took that L against Lakeland 58-42. Just was not a high-scoring game from the Falcons. Still leading the way, though, was Emily Hafman, 13 points in that loss.
Yeah, she's been the leading scorer for the Falcons at 14 points per game, which puts her at 5th in the NAC. And the CUW is struggling a little bit down the stretch. They've dropped their last 3 games, and it's a great opportunity for them to get one on the road against a hot CU Cougars team.
Well, they're going to need a really big rebound game from Lily Guerra. Guerra is first in the conference in three-point percentage on the year, 45.5, though she had a rough shooting night, 1 for 6 versus Lakeland. They're going to need a big bounce back from their sharpshooter.
Absolutely. She's leading the conference, shooting 45.5% from 3. They'll be looking to get the ball distributed to her a little bit, and she'll be big for the Falcons tonight.
Well, a little history lesson now between the two rival Concordias. All time, the record sits 7-30 for the Cougars. Falcons leading that with the 30 wins. 2-14 the Cougars are when playing the Falcons here in Geisman. Falcons also demonstrating some recent domination, 2-8, in the last 10 games. That's the Cougars' records playing CUW. However, the Cougars, they're coming off that win on November 16th. That was their first win against the Falcons in 8 games.
And this is a different Cougars team than what we've seen in the past. Usually, CUW has dominated this series, but Concordia getting that win last time out against the Falcons was huge. And this is a very different Cougars team than what we've seen in the past. Again, we mentioned it, 6-0 in conference. It's the best start they've had since the 2018-2019 season. They'll be looking to continue their hot streak tonight.
And something that I know you and Carter are going to be talking about a lot on the call today, Parker, is the coaching matchup. These are two coaches who are, well, as every coach is, but these two specifically feel integral to their team's success. And while Coach Lauren Martin of the Cougars has been having a ton of success this season, the CUW coach, she has a proven track record of her own.
Right, and Coach Stacy Brunner-Jones and Coach Lauren Martin are great friends. Coach Brunner-Jones, she's the winningest coach in CUW history. She's made the conference tournament in each of her seasons as the Falcons head coach. Coach Lauren Martin has got her team going in the right direction. It'll be a great coaching matchup.
Well, a little over 6 minutes before these two teams tip off here in Geisman, so let's get down to it, Parker. Keys to the game. What do the Cougars need to do to pull out the win? What's going to be a big factor in today's matchup?
Obviously, we know how good the Cougars are on offense. They are dominant on the offensive end, but something Coach Martin wants from her squad is that defensive intensity, and something that they have picked up as the season has progressed, something they weren't great at the start of the season, but they're slowly getting better,
right.
And she wants her team to continue that against another conference foe today.
Well, I'm going to take things in the offensive direction. CUC, they are a great three-pointing shooting team, over 26 threes attempted per game, a little over 8 threes made per game. They're also a hard driving team to the rim. So, Parker, this game's really going to be about creating that space. They're going to create that space for those cutters like Catherine Bennis, who's having just a remarkable year for the Cougars. They're going to create that space so she can drive to the rim, but also open up the three-point shooting because, again, players like Alexis Desjardins, they like to shoot from beyond the arc. So you create that space, move that ball around quick. It's going to be, hailing from beyond the three-point line, but also those drives to the rim to open things up. Well, Cougars taking on the Falcons today here in Geisman. It's sure to be an exciting one here at the end of winter break. We're going to send it down to the court in just a minute for starting lineup and the national anthem. But first, we have a president from CUC, Russell Dawn.
Hello, I'm Dr. Russell Dawn, President of Concordia University Chicago. Thank you for tuning in to today's Cougar Athletics broadcast. We take great pride in the strength of both our athletic and academic programs, which are rooted in our steadfast commitment to Jesus Christ. Dedicated to the liberal arts as a foundation of a high-quality college degree, we believe education should form individuals for service to their neighbors. This makes Concordia Chicago an exciting and fulfilling place to study, work, learn, and grow. Learn more today by visiting cuchicago.edu. Thank you, and go Cougars!
Welcome to Geisman Gymnasium for today's Concordia rivalry against the visiting Concordia University Wisconsin Falcons and the host Concordia University Chicago Cougars. Carter Gledhill with you on the call, joined by Parker Kelly. For the 38th time in these two teams' histories, they will square off again. Second time this season. And Parker, when it comes to CUW versus CUC, there's always extra energy in the building.
Right, and Concordia, Wisconsin has dominated this series as history has shown. Concordia Cougars are looking to flip the script today.
Concordia, Wisconsin in the all-blue, white and gray trim away jersey. CUC in the home white, maroon numbers, and gold trim. Falcons come into Geisman, dropping a conference game earlier this week against the Lakeland University Muskies. First shot of the game comes from Emily Hafman. We'll talk about her a lot during this broadcast. The leading scorer for the Falcons comes up empty-handed in the paint.
And that was great help side defense by Michaela Ellis. I know the Cougars are happy to have her back.
Catherine Benez, three-pointer to start the game for her. Last time she played the Falcons, she dropped 38 points, a career high for her, and you can already know the Falcons are going to have a different game plan for how to tackle number 10 in white.
And she's not an easy player to guard. She can shoot it from the outside. She can drive inside the paint. She's very speedy, shifty. She'll be tough to handle for the Falcons.
A turnover by the Falcons. Jaylene Wade bringing the ball up for the Cougars, coming off a 15-point performance in the last game against Dominican University. She's now had 10 or more points in 3 consecutive games. Alexis Desjardins, her pass is wild and goes out of bounds, intended for Wade.
Just a little miscommunication right there from Desjardins. Can't afford to have too many of those, especially in this rivalry.
Falcons are coached by 19th season of the helm of the program, Stacy Brunner-Jones. Cougars are coached by Lauren Martin in her 5th season. Cougars going the other way. Michaela Ellis at the top of the key, her 2nd start of the season. Dumps it inside. Allie McGregor out to Wade. A three-pointer off the mark. Wade tried to chase down her own shot, but Lily Gara able to scoop it up, takes it the other way. 5'3" junior guard. Drives inside, sidesteps, goes down to the court. Possession will stay with CUW.
A nice job by Guerra, being aggressive, attacking the rim, getting her team an opportunity to get some points in the early going.
Miscommunication on the inbound pass leaves Catherine Benes wide open. Has some trouble on the backside from Guerra, and she's fouled. So Catherine Benes goes to the free throw line. First foul of the game. Catherine Benes, the leading scorer in all Division III, averaging over 25 points per game. Leads the conference in minutes per game. And also, this is a big one, too, and a reason why she was successful against Concordia, Wisconsin. She has the most attempted free throws in the conference. She went 12 of 14 in the previous meeting of these two teams. She's
an 84% free throw shooter. It would be important to be able to draw these fouls from the Falcons and get to the free throw line.
Only 1 for 2 for Benes at the charity stripe. Falcons still looking to get on the board. This is a CUC defense that ranks second best in points per game, but 11th in opponent scoring, so they'll have a tough task today against the Falcons. Michaela Ellis with a head of steam, loses it in the paint. It's picked up by Erin Vergitz.
Just a little out of control right there from Ellis, but you can see that the effort is there, and she's a big role player for this Cougars team, needs to continue that high-intensity effort.
Baseline drive, pump fake from Hafman. Ben is going the other way. 2 blue jerseys in front of her. $7:23 to go in the first quarter. CUC up 4-0. Alexis Desjardins pulled it from deep.
And one of the things about Desjardins that makes her such a special player is she is not afraid to pull the trigger. Coach Martin loves her confidence.
She's a player that you would like to see a little bit more consistency from. She's had some single-digit point games, but in the last game she had 17, second highest on the team behind Benes. Offensive board from Emily Hafman gives new life on the shot clock for the Falcons. Wide open 3 from Aubry at the top. Reagan Aubry shooting 32% from deep. It's the first points of the game for the Falcons.
And that's another miscommunication by the Cougars. You can't have a wide open shooter at the top of the key. Somebody has to come and close out.
Falcons going the other way. In transition, it's Hafman. Throws it out of bounds, way over the head of Aubry, and we have our first substitutions of the game. It'll be 3 for the Falcons. Madeline Taubenheim, as well as Abigail Smitsdorf. One more sub is Aubrey Buchholz. CUC without a field goal in the last 3 minutes. Tough defense in the corner from Guerra. Ellis one-on-one, hesitation, loses it. It was poked away by Aubry.
We've seen a couple turnovers here early by Ellis. Wonder if that's a sign that maybe she's a little bit out of control here early. Needs help from other players.
And a jump ball called in the paint. Jaylene Wade gets tangled up with Reagan Aubry. And the one thing that you can know about these Cougars, especially from last game, and definitely head coach Stacey Brunner-Jones knows that this is a Cougars team that loves to get out in transition. Fast break is key for this offense and grabbing extra points.
And the Cougars have a lot of speed, so that's why they're so good in transition, and that'll be a big focus point for the Falcons today.
Falcons only trailed by 2 with 2 minutes remaining in the last matchup between these two teams, but the win for the Cougars snapped an 8-game losing skid to the Falcons. A 3 from Guerra off the mark, rebounded by Desjardins.
A rare miss from Guerra. We know that she's shooting close to 46% from 3, something you definitely don't see often from her.
Another 3-pointer for Catherine Benes, shooting 34% on the season. A drive into the paint, untouched until right under the basket was Lily Guerra. Foul is called on Alexis Desjardins. That'll be her first and team first. Cougars will make their first substitution. It will be Malia Perry, the junior from Plainfield, Illinois, coming off the bench, making her 12th appearance on the season for the Cougars. Missed free throw from Guerra. And the one thing that Concordia, Wisconsin has struggled with is the free throw. As a team, they're shooting just over 62%, which is 10th in the NAC Conference. In their last game against Lakeland, they were 3 for 11 from free throws, where Lakeland was 15 for 20, so a difference maker in that game. It was only a 4-point loss for the Falcons, but it comes down to those clutch moments where free throws lead to extra opportunities.
And the interesting thing about the Falcons is they actually shoot from the free throw line better in conference matchups, but if they're going to want to beat this Cougars team, they have to do it better.
Michaela Ellis gets her first points of the game. Nice 12-foot jump shot.
That's been her signature shot throughout her entire career here in River Forest.
She gets the rebound, going the other way. Hesitation again, spin around in the paint, and a travel is called. And just as we were talking about the mid-range jumper for Ellis, the other thing that makes her so good is driving. She is starting to work back into more minutes, and she struggled with injuries. Last game against Dominican, played a season-high 29 points. She only scored 4 points, but she was the leading scorer for this team last year with 11 points per game, so getting her back in a rhythm is going to be important for the Cougars as we go into the heart of conference play.
And absolutely, she's a very versatile player. She's very aggressive, not afraid to attack. She has a nice mid-range stroke, and she'll be big for the Cougars this afternoon.
Another missed layup for Emily Hafman. She's now 0 for 4 to start her night. All alone in the corner is Perry. It was deflected by Hafman. 5-point lead for the Cougars, 3:52 remaining in the first. Aubrey Buchholz at the top. Gives it inside to Hafman. Guarded by Wade. Right elbow bank shot from Abigail Smitsdorf. Coming off of a season-high 8-point performance against the Muskies in the last game. Making her 12th appearance on the season for CUW. Ellis with the right hand, falling to the court. No whistle. CUC bench wanted a foul.
Ellis has been a little out of sorts here early. Coach Martin will be looking to get her going a little bit, get her some more touches, and find a rhythm.
Cougars slow it down. Coach Martin calling in a play from the sideline. It's one thing with this Cougars team, sometimes they get a little bit too ahead of themselves, so Coach Martin making deliberate effort in the closing minutes of the first quarter to get something going offensively. And another travel called on the Cougars. Back-to-back possessions have resulted in turnovers. Wave of subs for both teams.
And going back to your point, Carter, with a Cougars team that has a lot of speed, sometimes it's difficult to know when to slow down and kind of slow your offense a little bit.
Allie McGregor checks back in for the Cougars. Aubry as well as Vergitz in for the Falcons. Tough man-to-man defense from the Cougars. But a three-pointer from Aubry ties the game up at 9.
Aubry, a very consistent three-point shooter for the Falcons. It was a nice play that she wasn't afraid to pull the trigger right there with the defender in her face.
Falcons the third best three-point shooting team in the conference. The Cougars the first. Might see a couple more long balls in this game. Nice move from Benes. Clanks off the back iron. Rebound by Vergitz.
Even though the shot didn't fall for Benes, that was a heck of a move right there.
Falcons trying to take their first lead of the game, and it'll come on free throws. Emily Hafman is fouled by Malia Perry. Michaela Hopkins replaces Catherine Benes. And quite a spectacular season that Emily Hafman is having. She's the fourth highest scorer in the conference with 14 points a game. This season, she is now a member of the 1,000-point club for the Falcons. And with that point, she now moves into the 13th slot of all-time scoring for CUW. 1 point advantage for the Falcons, their first lead of the game. Hopkins tries to go in the paint. Tough defense inside from the Falcons, behind the back from Perry, and she loses it out of bounds. It's been a 6-0 run for the Falcons over the last 2 minutes, and the Cougars have been turning the ball over at an alarming rate, and it's coming off of a game where they struggled in the first half against Dominican with turnovers.
And something that I've noticed from this Cougar squad is everyone is trying to play iso ball. What the Cougars need to do is distribute the ball a little bit better, get the rock passed around a little bit, get everyone some touches, and maybe that'll help slow things down for the Cougars offense.
Falcons are able to break the press inside and laying it up, Aaron Vergitz. And right now you can see that Aaron Vergitz 6'1" on the court. Falcons making sure they have at least one 6-footer out there, especially with the lack of size from the Cougars. And Perry's shot goes under the basket.
And Vergitz has been huge for the Falcons. She's been one of the engines for this Falcons offense, shooting 50% from the field. She'll be huge today.
Under a minute to play in the first quarter. Hafman, hesitation. Finally kicks it out. Falcons winding down the shot clock to 10 before another three-pointer from Reagan Obrey. She now has 9 points in the game, all of which have come from the long ball.
And Obrey's found her stroke early.
And another travel violation on the Cougars. That is now 8 turnovers on the Cougars in the first quarter. Catherine Bennett comes back onto the court, and Coach Martin trying to put her best player back out there to stop the bleeding. What's supposed to be a quarter-ending break for her.
Yeah, and something about Coach Martin, she will not keep Bennis out of the game very long. She's been the heartbeat of this Cougars offense, and she has great vision as well. Maybe can help in not turning the ball over as much.
5 seconds separating shot clock and game clock. Abigail Hafman tried to back down Benez. Now it'll be Lindsay Lonegro. Dumps it inside, and an and-one opportunity. Aaron Vergitz. 4 points for her. Foul called on number 11, Michaela Hopkins, but right now what we're seeing is the Falcons started the quarter trying to shoot the ball, go one-on-one, and just like you said, the Cougars needed to do is team offense. CUW is doing that, and they're getting rewarded by dumping it inside to the 6'1" forward in the paint.
And what that was right there was Aaron Vergitz was taking advantage of the mismatch. Michaela Hopkins, a smaller player on a 6-footer in Vergitz. She just took advantage of that, went right to the rim, and got the and one.
She misses the free throw. Ball was hit out of bounds by Abigail Hafman. 7.5 seconds remaining in the quarter. Falcons lead by 8. Winding down seconds, Hopkins throws up a fastball off the backboard, and that'll be the end of the first quarter. CUC led by as many as 5, but a closing run of 13-0 for the Falcons puts them up by 8 after the first quarter. When we come back, a sideline report from Peter Borkowski on the Cougar Sports Network.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute slugfest so far.
10 seconds going to Peter.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute slugfest so far on the court as the low score did show until CUW started to pull away here. It's going to be interesting, the physicality between these two Concordia rivals as the game goes on. These are two teams who heavily rely on their starters and their scoring prowess. CUC, 75 points of their points per game come from their starters, and another 10 points of those 10 points per game come from Perry and 6-1 off the bench. Meanwhile, 71% of their points per game come from their usual starters. These are teams starter-reliant teams. As these players get worn down, these two benches are really going to have to step up and start pulling their own weight and away with this.
All right, thanks, Peter, for the report. And I think he talked about a really good point in that, is that the bench is going to be such a key part in this game. And when we look at the bench in terms of how it's used, the Falcons outscored the Cougars 18-4 in the first matchup of this season. Right now, we're starting to see the Cougars starters fade, and when you put their bench reserves in, Falcons' experienced members are going to start taking advantage.
And that's right. When you have a young team in this Cougars offense and you have your star players aren't playing as well, it's important to go into the bench a little bit and have some of your younger players step up, and we need to see that today.
Allie McGregor with the rebound. Going the other way is Michaela Hopkins. Three-pointer from Wade at the top. Misses. Bennis chases it down for an offensive board. She tries her own three-pointer. She misses.
And maybe not the smartest shot selection right there from Bennis. When you have a quick turnover like that, you got to get the ball passed around a little bit more. Slow your offense down. Everything is so high tempo right now, and that's what's causing all the turnovers. Cougars offense needs to slow down a little bit.
Foul called on Michaela Hopkins. That is her second. Lily Guerra comes back in for the Falcons as well. The #1 three-point shooter in the conference. Over 45% from behind the three-point arc. CUC drops into a soft zone. 6 seconds on the shot clock and a travel violation called on the Falcons.
And I like this approach from Coach Martin, setting up a zone defense. And right now, the Falcons have been able to get inside the paint and have their way. And then setting up a zone defense prevents that easy access into the lane.
Now an illegal screen called on Michaela Ellis. The Cougars are trying to set up Catherine Benez for a three-pointer. Aubrey Buchholz comes back onto the court for the Falcons. Coach Martin, after the win against Dominican, said the big difference between the first quarter and the second quarter, where the team shot 14% from the field in the first quarter, was they started to dish the ball around to everybody else. And as you mentioned, the starters being a big part of this CUC team, when they start getting going, the energy feeds off one another, and they're able to start building a team offense, and everybody else starts getting into the cookie jar in terms of points.
Absolutely. The Cougars have relied on their starters all season. The way the bench performs is determined by how well the starters perform.
So Jaylene Wade is replaced by Madeline McGrath. Hasn't played since December 3rd against Alverno College. Foul was called on number 10, Lily Guerra. Hopkins, a freshman from St. Louis, Missouri, is 5th in the NAC in steals per game, averaging almost 3. Gets her own rebound off the missed free throw.
Nice job by the Cougars getting an offensive rebound and allowing their team to possibly get some second chance points.
Lockdown defense from the Falcons on Catherine Benez after she had 7 in the first quarter. Ellis, spin around jump shot, and a travel is called. Now some frustration setting in with the Cougars. Coach Martin does not like the call either. There's been an excessive amount of travel calls, but also, too, it's been off that one move where the Cougars are trying to spin around using the pivot foot.
And right, Michaela Ellis has had some travels called on her. The first couple were understandable. That one, that was a bit of a questionable call right there.
That is her 5th turnover in the game. Cougars now with 10 as a team. Now a travel is called on Erin Vergitz.
And what we're seeing are these players are very antsy, and a lot of them aren't getting their feet set. Also, the refs are very quick to call traveling.
Cougars have not made a field goal since the 5:05 mark of the first quarter. Again, the Falcons closed out the quarter on a 13-0 run. And now Catherine Benez lets out a big-time scream. That was a huge shot from Benez. Finally gets the Cougars on the board in the second and ends that horrendous drought.
And that's exactly what you need when the offense is struggling to score. You need your star players to step up, and that's exactly what Benez did right there.
Three-point answer did not go for Hafman. Ball bounces out of bounds on CUW.
Very quick possession right there from the Falcons. They're also in a similar situation to the Cougars. Need to get that ball passed around a little bit more.
Benez with 10 of the 13 points for the Cougars. Back-to-back three-pointers. Benez is 4 for 5 from deep to start the game.
And she is feeling it right now, letting out another scream.
Coach Martin talks about energy, and she's a spark plug for this team as Hopkins gets the steal, gets fouled, and he'll head to the free throw line. When you talk about a leader on the court, especially energy-wise, Catherine Benez, she's not only hyped up about what the team's doing right now, but she's rewarding them too. It's the encouragement, and that's exactly what we talked about just a few minutes ago, is players feeding off of each other, and especially the leaders and the starters for the Cougars contributing to the team effort.
Absolutely, and Benez is the definition of a great teammate, and she has single-handedly changed the momentum of the game for the Cougars, and that's exactly what you want to see out of your star player.
So Hopkins goes 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Game is now tied at 17. Falcons dump it inside on the baseline, trying to attack the paint, get the Cougars out of sorts in a mismatch. Running jumper doesn't go for Opry. Michaela Ellis the other way. Hopkins takes it in the paint, and a charge is called. Charge is called. It was taken by Opry. Coach Martin does not like the calls, arguing that the Falcons were in the restricted area under the basket and also moving. So Hopkins picks up her third personal foul. That's her second turnover as well.
And Hopkins has got to play a little bit smarter. She's one of the players that comes off the bench for the Cougars. That is huge. Needs to play a little bit more smarter on the offensive end.
Now an illegal screen was called on the Falcons. Foul goes against number 21, Erin Vergitz. Vergitz picks up her first personal foul. Benez move inside, floats it up high off the backboard. The 5'3" guard was able to shimmy her way around the 6'1" forward inside.
And what Benez lacks in size, she makes up for in speed, and she showed a great example of that right there.
Reagan Opry hits another three. She is a perfect 4 for 4. 12 points for number 11 in blue. McGrath gives it around to Allie McGregor. Misses the layup. McGrath chases it down, and the ball is turned over to the Falcons, and a foul is called. And now Michaela Hopkins has picked up her fourth foul, and there's 5:01 remaining in the second quarter.
And right there, Hopkins has got to know that she's playing with 3 fouls. She can't swipe at the ball right that, and now that may cost her team later down the stretch of the game.
Michaela Hopkins, as you talked about, one of the most utilized bench players for the Cougars, averaging over 20 minutes a game. A defensive spark plug for the Cougars as well, in foul trouble in the middle of the second quarter with 4.
And Hopkins has been a great defensive player all year. She's just got to play a little bit more smart because the Cougars do need her.
Ellis and Desjardins come back for the Cougars. Another three-pointer from the Falcons. Desjardins fighting, but able to get the rebound was Abigail Smitsdorf. Another three-pointer for the Falcons. Falcons are 5 for 7 as a team.
And the Falcons are playing very motivated basketball right now. They know what happened the last time they played the Cougars, and they're looking to flip the script this afternoon.
Desjardins with a running jumper leaves it short. Falcons on another run of 6 points over the last minute. Wide open three at the top, and the Falcons cannot be stopped from downtown. Back-to-back three-pointers for the Falcons. Puts them up by 7 with 4:04 remaining in the second quarter. Full timeout taken by the Cougars. Welcome back inside Geisman Gymnasium. The Falcons now 6 for 9 as a team from deep. Have a 7-point lead over the Cougars after back-to-back three-point shots. And Parker, right now we're seeing a team from the Cougars that has played really tough defense. They don't defend the three-pointer that well. Ranked 12th in the conference in opponent three-point shooting. What are the Falcons doing that are giving them those wide-open three-pointers?
Well, it's not necessarily anything the Falcons are doing, but what the Cougars are doing on the defensive end. They're switching screens, and it's allowing the Falcons to get more space. And what it boils down to is the Cougars have to communicate better on the defensive end to not switch those screens and give the Falcons that much space to shoot the three.
One of those three-point shooters for the Falcons, Reagan Obrey, perfect 4 for 4 from behind the three-point arc. Catherine Bennis takes it upon herself, almost makes a miraculous shot. Jaylene Wade with an offensive board in the paint. Now a foul will be called against Buchholz.
And something that will help the Cougars in this game is drawing fouls from the Falcons and getting those fouls racked up, and eventually that will lead to more attempts from the free throw line.
Cougars trying to set up a play for Ellis. 14 on the shot clock. Dumps it over to McGregor. McGregor still without any points. Nice move inside from Benez. McGregor with an offensive board. Ball squeaks out. It's picked up by the Falcons. Falcons wanted number 44, Buchholz, to take another three. She was the shooter that sent the Cougars into a full timeout. Now they try to go inside to Smitsdorf, and a 3-second violation is called.
Nice defensive stand from the Cougars. Now you just got to be able to capitalize on this opportunity and slowly crawl your way back into the game.
Kayla Ellis makes her way down low. Jaylene Wade follows suit. Now a three from Ellis. How about that? Only the second three-pointer this season, but she's a perfect 2 for 2.
And usually we don't see Ellis shoot that much from the three-point line, but if you're wide open in the quarter, you got to take the shot.
Cougars down by 4. 2:27 remaining in the first half. Catherine Benez going the other way. Throws it up. Rebound by Wade. Another offensive rebound for Jaylene Wade. Now her second. Pulls up near the free throw line. No good. Fight for the ball. It's won by Smitsdorf.
And I want to talk about Catherine Bennis a little bit. She's been electrifying on the defensive end, getting a couple steals, but then when you're in transition, you got to be able to get your feet settled and not just throw up wild shots.
Falcons taking their time, trying to get their matchups. Pick and roll, but a foul is called. Moving screen on Buchholz. Buchholz will pick up her second personal foul.
And Buchholz has been huge for the Falcons. You've seen her shoot the three ball a little bit, get past the ball. Her vision's been excellent this afternoon. She's got to play smarter too because the Falcons are relying on her right now for momentum.
4-point ball game. Cougars were trailing by as much as 8. Sparked by a 13-0 run from the Falcons and a very, very long shot from Benes. Heat check from her, stands in the paint now. Fast break opportunity. Hafman misses it. Following behind is Vergitz, gives it up to McGregor. Cougars in transition.
Nice quick hands right there from McGregor.
Benes gets fouled on the way up by Lonegro.
And right now, Benes knows that if she keeps driving into the paint, eventually she'll get a foul called and be able to get to the free throw line. Excellent display of athleticism right there from Benes.
The sophomore transfer from Grand Canyon University has made her presence known in her first year for the Maroon and Gold. 9 20 or more point games this season. 2-time NAC Player of the Week, averaging 26 points in conference games this season. It's a one-possession ball game with 1:11 remaining in the second quarter. 4 turnovers in the last 3 minutes for the Falcons. Trying to preserve their lead going into the locker room. Ten seconds on the shot clock. Still nothing for the Falcons. They give it up to Vergitz. Now inside. Hafman gets fouled on her way up by Michaela Ellis.
Ellis was playing great defense down in the paint until she brought her hands down, and that's what drew the foul.
Second foul against Ellis. Combined between these two teams, we've seen 15 fouls in the first half. Hafman goes 2 for 2. Checking in for Concordia, Wisconsin, Abigail Smitsdorf, as well as number 34, Abigail Hafman. Cougars have time for one possession and then defense. Wade pushing tempo, lays it up. That running jump shot has not worked for any Cougar so far in this first half.
And that's exactly what I was saying. The Cougars need to slow down on offense to potentially get some better looks.
21 seconds on the game clock. Driving in is Abigail Hafman. Misses. Ball still popping around. Wade pulls it down. Under 10 seconds. It's stolen away. Emily Hafman misses. Abigail Hafman has the rebound. 1 second. Final shot for the Falcons does not go from Abigail Smitsdorf. And that'll be the end of the second quarter. The Falcons lead the Cougars 28-23 going into the locker room. Peter Borkowski will join us for a halftime breakdown after a quick break on the Cougar Sports Network. Well, halftime break here inside Geisman Gymnasium. The Falcons up over the Cougars 28-23, joined by Parker Kelly and Peter Borkowski. And Parker, I'll start with you. The first quarter for the Cougars, it seemed like the offense was flowing through everybody. Obviously, Catherine Bennett is the leading scorer for the Cougars right now with 16 points, has taken a bulk of the responsibility for scoring for CUC and driving this offense. But there hasn't been much team basketball from CUC in the second quarter.
And this is something that I mentioned in the broadcast, but it seems that everyone is trying to play ISO ball, and what needs to happen for the Cougars is they need to get the pass distributed a little bit better, get the ball spun around a little bit, and slow everything down, because CUC's bread and butter has been their offense all season long. So when everything is slowed down, the Cougars have a better chance at gaining more momentum.
And I'll turn it over to you, Peter. You were on the sideline, so you had a little bit of perspective inside, especially the paint. The Cougars are winning the boards. They're out-rebounding the Falcons. But right now what we're seeing is just an aggressive post play from two forwards from CUW that has really limited everything inside for the Cougars.
Cougar will run into the paint and they'll run into one of those 6-foot giants CUW has. They just can't do anything about it. Cougars are not that tall of a team. You know, that's not necessarily a disadvantage for them. They learn how to play around that. But when you're going in there trying to just post up, you're not going to win those battles, unfortunately, especially when, you know, your lead scorer, Benish, she's only 5'4". Now, of course, she finds ways to navigate around that, but she's got to start coming up with that creativity because she's not winning these one-on-one battles with those two.
We've seen her fall over a couple times. We've also seen her off balance. And for her in the second quarter, it was the three-pointer, and she had 9 points, in the second quarter, 3 for 3 from deep. So she is understanding that it's been tough to get inside, so she has to rely on her shooting from deep. But another thing is that there's only 2 Cougars that, for the starters, that have scored. We've seen Michaela Ellis with 5, and obviously Catherine Bennett, we talked about her, with 16. The only other Cougar to score in this game is Michaela Hopkins with 2 points, but she's on the bench with 4 fouls.
Right, and McKaylee Hopkins has been a spark plug coming off the bench for the Cougars, and she's been primarily great on the defensive end, and the Cougars will need her to play smarter in order if they want to win this game.
Okay, we got second half basketball coming your way soon on the Cougar Sports Network, but Peter, I'll give it to you one more time. What's going to be for the Cougars to come back in this one and try to go around 2-0 over the Falcons on the season?
Well, let's go back to that post play. You need to draw those forwards out, those 2 centers, Guts and Smith-Thorpe. You know, pick and roll, some kind of transition on the offense. You got to get them moving. The Cougars have a lot of, like Parker said, a lot of iso ball, a lot of bodies just standing around, kind of clearing the way. Get some movement. Get one of those 2 out of the middle of the post, and that'll clear the way for Bennett to one of those driving layups that she loves to score. Because as good as a 3-ball can be, you can't rely on it all the time because you're going to go cold.
The Cougars are threatening right now as they are actually on the verge of dropping their first conference game, 6-0 in the NAC Conference, trying to avoid that here in their second matchup against the Falcons. Peter Borkowski will be joining you on the sideline again in the second half. Parker and I are going to get ready to go back up in the booth and get ready for more action. And it's another installment of the Falcons and the Cougars. We'll have more for you on the Cougar Sports Network. Inside the broadcast on the Cougar Sports Network, it's the 38th meeting between the Falcons and the Cougars. Cougar fans, be sure to check out our YouTube page, CUC Sports, for new digital content, interviews, and all the broadcasts here on the campus of Concordia University Chicago. You can become a channel member for $5 a month to receive exclusive access to all of the content posted by the Cougars. You click the join button below on this video to become a channel member. Cougars will get the ball coming out of the halftime break. As we alluded to in the halftime report, the Cougars going to have to play more team basketball. And it starts off by a turnover from Desjardins. Communication hasn't been the strongest from the Cougars this evening.
In a game like this, you need your communication to be the strongest. Concordia, Wisconsin is a huge rival for the Cougars, and this is a very chippy game. Communication has to be on point.
Right now, the Falcons have been turning up the offense ever since the first quarter. Emily Hafman, the leading scorer for the Falcons, getting points there.
And the Falcons have been doing what they've been doing all game, getting inside the paint. They start out the second half by getting inside and getting points. It's huge for the Falcons.
Michaela Ellis now has 7 points in the game. Both these teams aren't shooting the ball particularly well, but they're taking quality shots, and a drive from Reagan Obry. The first time we've seen Reagan Obry go inside and score points inside of the three-point arc.
Usually she is more of an outside shooter, but props to her for getting inside and being aggressive.
Michaela Ellis hitting another jumper from the exact same spot as she did one possession ago. Drive from Lonegro gets blocked away by McGregor.
And McGregor has been quiet in this game so far, so the Cougars are looking for her to take more of a step up in a leadership role here in the second half.
Inbounding for the Falcons is Reagan Obry. She was the leading scorer for the Falcons in the first half. McGregor gets the rebound off of a miss from her. Wade looking to split, now has to give it up. Luckily, Michaela Ellis was there. Ellis, another jumper. She's a perfect 3 for 3 to start the second half. And exactly what the Cougars needed was a spark plug.
And she is so dynamic with the ball in her hands, and we have mentioned it time and time again. She is miraculous from mid-range.
Cougars now trail by 3, and a foul is called on Lindsay Lonegro. So the Cougars with some momentum here to start the third quarter.
This is exactly how you want to start a half. Usually it's the first couple minutes of the half that are the most important in determining how the game will go. And right now the Cougars have a lot of momentum.
And a good pass from Ellis to McGregor, but she's not able to finish. Again, McGregor, no points so far in this game. She has 5 rebounds. And a nice move from Emily Hafman to get around Desjardins.
And Desjardins has struggled a little bit on the defensive end over the course of this game. Right there, just weak help side defense from the Cougars. Got to be able to have some help on that baseline drive.
First miss of the third quarter for Ellis. Falcons up by 5. Now a foul is called. Looks to be Catherine Benes with the hold. So Benes will pick up her first foul of the game. Now Michaela Ellis will come to the bench. She's replaced by Malia Perry. Might see Perry play a little bit more in this second half just because Michaela Hopkins has 4 fouls. Those two have been the 1-2 punch coming off the bench. Emily Hafman now starting to turn up here in the third quarter. Hafman has 9 points.
Falcons just really taking advantage of the Cougars' inside defense.
Jaylene Wade, first made field goal of the game 15 points in the last game against the Stars of Dominican University. And now a three-pointer to answer from Lindsay Lonegro.
The Cougars need to turn it up on defense, turn up the intensity. You can't allow the Falcons to go on a roll and gain possibly some more momentum.
Falcons out to another 8-point lead. That was the largest they had. Set it back into the first quarter, and a tripping call on Reagan Obry. Aubrey Buchholz will come in to replace number 21, Aaron Vergitz. Taubenheim replaces Emily Hafman. And one final substitution, Michaela Ellis returning for Desjardins. These two teams could play potentially 4 times this season. The second match, they've already played the one conference game in Mequon. Both these teams getting ready for the Concordia Invitational Tournament at the end of January. On opposite sides of the bracket, as the Cougars will play Concordia Ann Arbor in the first round. And then also, too, the conference tournament if both these teams qualify. So you're looking at a big-time potential history between these two teams in the series of the 2022-2023 season. Missed 3 from the Falcons. And a foul is called on Allie McGregor.
Not a smart foul from McGregor right there. She's playing good defense, and we've seen this where the Cougars have been playing good defense. They just get a little too antsy with their hands and ended up drawing the foul.
And all alone, Aubrey Buchholz snuck past the Cougars' defense inside.
Not a great possession right there from McGregor, first drawing the foul, then allowing Aubrey Buchholz to get an open shot in the paint.
Michaela Ellis has taken it upon herself to steer the ship for CUC in the third quarter. She now has 8 points and a three-pointer from the top from Aubrey Buchholz.
And Aubrey Buchholz just finds a way to respond for the Falcons.
And a timeout called by Coach Martin and the Cougars. Falcons now lead by 11, their largest lead. 30-second timeout. And what we're seeing right now from the Falcons, Parker, is not only just an energy high, but these two teams have really been playing off of each other in scoring runs, but CUC hasn't really been able to get anything going consistently that has put pressure on the Falcons.
And what we've seen is the Cougars haven't always responded in the best way whenever the Falcons get a three-point shot or whatever, and they have to be able to respond in order to make this a close game. And right now, the Falcons, I mentioned this earlier in the game, but they're playing very motivated basketball.
For the Cougars, Michaela Ellis with 8 points in the quarter brings her game total to 13. And the Falcons in the third quarter shooting 64% from the field. It's been their best start to a quarter in the game so far. Cougars down by 11 points, their largest deficit in this game.
And if you're Coach Martin, you want to see how your team responds with a deficit this big, see what your team is really made of.
Ellis trying to go one-on-one again with Taubenheim. And now Taubenheim loses it in the corner. Checking back in for the Cougars is Madeline McGrath. She replaces Allie McGregor. So both these teams now playing with a little bit smaller of a lineup. We don't see any of the forwards for Concordia, Wisconsin out there. And obviously Allie McGregor, the 6-foot sophomore, is on the bench for CUC. So guard play now becomes a big factor for each team.
And what this is saying about Coach Martin and what she wants is she wants more outside looks. She's put more of a smaller lineup in, so you don't really have anybody to get inside the paint, so what you're wanting are those outside shots.
Buchholz inside again, gets tripped up, and she's fouled by McGrath. Pair of free throws to come for the senior from Seymour, Wisconsin, Aubrey Buchholz. Her 12th game with the Falcons this season. Season high 12 points against North Central College on November 26th. She has 8 points right now before the second free throw. Makes it 9. It's the most she's had in a game since her season high of 12 against North Central in November.
And boy, has she been huge for this Falcons offense in this game.
Benez, the leading scorer for the Cougars with 16, goes inside. And that's the difference right there between previous drives inside when she's been met by 2 forwards for the Falcons, is that space that she creates when she spins around.
And really it boils down to her footwork. She's a very shifty player, and she's able to create space for herself.
Blocked by Perry. Cougars going the other way. McGrath rides the baseline and throws it off the hip of Lily Guerra.
And that's something you can't afford to have. You get a huge block by Perry that creates some momentum, and then you just throw it away with a silly turnover.
.352 remaining in the third quarter. Cougars trail by 10. They go one-on-one inside. Ellis spin around, fade away. No, does not get the shooter's touch. Spinning around Madeline Taubenheim. And an underhand layup from Emily Hafman. She now has 11 points.
And it seems that the Cougars just don't have an answer for the Falcons' inside offense.
McGrath misses the layup on the other end. Falcons slow things down. Falcons have been more patient in the quarter than the Cougars in terms of shot selection. Missed 3 from Lonegro. Rebound by Ellis.
Nice, strong rebound by Ellis right there.
Malia Perry gets it stolen by Reagan Obrey. Dumps it out to Lonegro. Obrey in the paint, floats it up. Nice transition play for the Falcons. Cougars just weren't on anybody in that situation.
No, and that was a nice possession right there from Obrey. First showing the quick hands, getting the steal, then returning the favor in transition and getting the 2-point bucket.
Jaylene Wade gets pushed to the ground by number 3, Lindsay Lonegro. Lonegro picks up her 3rd personal foul as Ellis is replaced by Allie McGregor. And as soon as McGregor goes in, Abigail Hafman comes in as well. Falcons outscoring the Cougars 21-12 in the third quarter. Long 3 from McGrath, way off target. Last touch by Jaylene Wade. The Geisman faithful think it should have gone in favor of the Cougars.
Yeah, this crowd really lets you know what they're thinking.
Going to work inside, Emily Hafman gets fouled. And we'll head back to the free throw line. Madeline McGrath guilty of the foul. Her 2nd foul of the game. And we know we talked about it with the Cougars a lot, with the star players and the starters driving this team. How about Emily Hafman having a slow start to this game, finding her rhythm here in the third quarter? And that's exactly what you need if you're head coach Stacey Brunner-Jones, is your leading scorer to start stepping things up in the second half and taking ownership, because this team now for the Falcons out to their biggest lead of 15.
And that's right. That's something that we talked about. The stars have to be able to respond when adversity hits, and Emily Hafman has done just that.
Loose ball foul on Catherine Benez. Benez picks up her 2nd. Falcons are in the bonus, so free throws to come for Madeline Taubenheim.
And if you're the Cougars, the Falcons are really capitalizing on their trips to the free throw line. You got to find a way to play smarter on the defensive end and not continue to keep fouling.
Taubenheim, a junior. In the last game against the Muskies, had 2 points and a rebound. averaging nearly 14 minutes off the bench for the Falcons. 4 points now for number 23. Cougars have a lot of work to do with the remaining minute 44 in the third and in the fourth quarter. Stoppage of play, a foul is called. Aubrey Buchholz. Misread by the referees at 44, only 34 out there, so it goes against Abigail Hafman. Hafman gets her first personal foul. Chloe Schafsma checks in for the first time for CUC. Bennis, downtown. And now a foul is called on Allie McGregor. McGregor picks up her second personal foul. And so now it'll be changed. One of the referees was saying it was going against McGregor, but now it goes against, it was number 21 for the Falcons, Aaron Vergitz. So the Cougars are in the bonus now, and Allie McGregor will have free throws.
I was getting ready to say, it looked like McGregor had pretty good position on her. It looked like Vergitz was pulling on her arm a little bit. Good call by the refs.
Allie McGregor, a sophomore from Loves Park, Illinois. Started every game last year for the Cougars. She has done that this year as well. Scoring hasn't been quite the same as it was last year. She gets her first points off of free throws. Averaging just 6 points a game this season compared to what she had last season of 8. Minute 20 remaining in the third quarter. Tough defense to come from the Cougars. Bennis gets pushed to the ground. No foul called. Rebound from Guerra. New life for the Falcons. All alone in the corner. Taubenheim, a three. Bang! Taubenheim now 2 for 2 from deep. The Falcons shooting over 57% as a team.
And the Falcons are just capitalizing on the miscommunications from the Cougars on defense.
Michaela Ellis with another bucket in the third quarter.
Michaela Ellis has been the heartbeat of this Cougars offense in the second half. We saw in the first half it was Bennis, and now Ellis has taken that role upon herself.
Open layup for Hafman, had Schafsma on her back, but she misses. Bennis, other way, stops on the block, spin around. No good, shot clock off. Allie McGregor, hustle play, gets the offensive rebound. Shot clock back on. Schafsma looking baseline, loses it, picks it up, finds Wade. Three-pointer for Wade, too strong. Falcons going the other way with 9.8 seconds.
Jaylene Wade has yet to hit a three-pointer this afternoon. She's leading the team in three-point percentage, shooting 39% from behind the arc. They'll look for her to get going a little bit here in the fourth quarter.
And now a foul is called on number 21, Aaron Vergitz. Stuck the leg out and tripped up Catherine Benez, and Benez is limping a little bit over on the far side of the court. She was limping a little bit in the back end after she went down on the last shot, and after that contact, it looks like she's holding on to one of her knees, bent over right now. Wave of subs for each team with 3.1 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
But if we know anything about Catherine Bennis, she's a very tough player, so she's going to try to play through this.
Wade trying to beat the buzzer. No good. Falcons outscore the Cougars 26-15 in the third quarter. They have a 54-38 lead heading into the final 10 minutes of play inside Geisman Gymnasium. After a quick break, a report from the sidelines from Peter Borkowski.
really the big difference on the court so far has been the field goal percentage. CUW shooting a little over 41% from the field, and meanwhile the Cougars are circling around 30%. And the reason for that is the Falcons are finding that next pass. They're finding that open look almost every defensive set the Cougars are in. The Cougars got to do a better good job communicating through that, making sure every Falcon is covered so they aren't getting those easy open threes or mid-range jumpers. Meanwhile, the Cougars offense, a little bit more movement, which is what I talked about at halftime. But the three-pointer, that's really going to be key in this fourth quarter. They have a distance to make up here without much time. So it'll be interesting to see what plan the Cougars come out with on the offensive side of the court. Carter, back to you.
Thanks, Peter. And you bring up a really good point about how the three-pointer is going to be a deciding factor in this final quarter. I mean, the Cougars shooting their best from the field in the third quarter, 32%, but they also put up the most shots in any quarter of 22. Michaela L is eating up a big chunk of that as well. It'll be interesting to see how this final quarter of play pans out. Cougars trying to preserve their undefeated record in the NAC Conference at 6-0. Right off the bat, the Falcons go inside. Buchholz guarded by Allie McGregor. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Emily Hafman spinning around. Great shot, just couldn't get it to roll in. Malia Perry the other way for CUC.
And something right off the bat that you notice for the Cougars, they're not switching on screens anymore, and it's allowed the Falcons not have as much space when they're taking their shots.
Alexis Desjardins gets her first points of the game. Comes in the fourth quarter, and been a quiet night for her. And now the other way, Reagan Aubry having herself a night. She now ties a season high of 16 points.
It just seems that the Falcons always have a response to the Cougars' offensive production.
Now a foul is called on Alexis Desjardins. You bring up a good point. The Falcons have just always been able to respond to the Cougars. And when that's happened, CUC hasn't found a way to fight back or keep that back and forth going.
And that's why the Falcons' lead is so big, because sometimes, all the time, they capitalize on their opportunities that they have.
Reagan Aubry, 16 points, leading scorer for the Falcons, followed by Emily Hafman. Hafman has it in the paint, spin around, gives it over to the corner. Buchholz a three, too strong.
A rare miss from Buchholz. She's been playing very well in this game.
That is a three-pointer. How about that, Catherine Benes? 21 points for Benes. Make it 10 games of 20 or more points on the season.
Benes is a phenomenal player for this Cougars team.
21 of the 43 points for the Cougars, and a travel violation called on Buchholz. It'll be the 16th turnover of the game for the Falcons. Cougars have one more with 17. And now a full timeout is taken by Stacy Brunner-Jones of Concordia, Wisconsin. Cougars chipping away at the start of the fourth quarter. They trail 56-43. Cougar fans, get ready for more basketball inside Geisman Gymnasium when the women's basketball team returns to River Forest on January 21st against the Warriors of Wisconsin Lutheran College. Tip-off inside of Geisman will be at 4:15 p.m. It's a three-game road trip for the Cougars coming up. They'll take on the Muskies of Lakeland University, followed by Marian University and Aurora University. And this is where things start to get interesting in terms of conference play. The Cougars and the St. Norbert Green Knights are the only two undefeated teams in the NAC right now. Concordia, Wisconsin currently at 5th in the conference with a 4-2 NAC record and an overall record of 5-6. Not many times you finish off a conference opponent this early in the season, but again, we talked about it a little bit ago in the broadcast. These two teams potentially could play again in CIT and then the conference tournament as Jaylene Wade gets fouled. Number 23, Madeline Taubenheim, a little bit too much contact in the paint.
And Carter, going back to your point that we could potentially see these teams face off 4 times in a single season, just knowing the history of this rivalry, wouldn't that be something?
I mean, it makes it fun, makes it interesting. That's what you love about college basketball is the rivalries. And especially with CIT coming up, you know, the 2 NAIA teams that are in CIT, Concordia, Nebraska, as well as Concordia, Ann Arbor. There was a 2-year pause for the CIT due to COVID-19, but it is back, and it is in Seward, Wisconsin, hosted by the Bulldogs.
Something all Concordia fans should be excited about. CIT is always a great time.
Using the left hand, Reagan Obrey sets a new season high of 18 points. And she's been able to do it from deep, and we've started to see in the second half, as they've been closing out on her, she's been able to get it done inside.
Yeah, she's been huge for the Falcons, shooting 7 of 13 from the field. She's having herself quite the day.
And a foul is called against Emily Hafman. She can't believe it, but Allie McGregor will head back to the free throw line. And I think another thing to point out, too, is the amount of paint points. 18 for the Falcons, 10 for the Cougars. That's usually a category the Cougars dominate, but there's been a lot of misses so far today. Allie McGregor a little bit off. We've seen Catherine Benes challenged more than usual when she drives. And then Michaela Ellis, too. This is a good lockdown defense from the Falcons, and the game plan from head coach Stacey Brunner-Jones is showed here in the second half especially.
Right, and they knew how good this Concordia Cougars offense has been, and they've done an excellent job of shutting that down, especially within the paint.
The Cougars go into a little bit more of an aggressive defense. Wide open 3, Taubenheim. Falcons bench is elated. They're now up 61-45.
Falcons are playing very motivated on offense, putting up 61 points. And right now, in NAC play, they average 62, so getting close to that mark.
Another 2 points for Benes. Cougars going to have to start chipping away, going on a run. They need a big one here. Down by 14 with 6:15 remaining in the game. Hafman again inside. Good defense from Malia Perry. That's been the matchup so far in the fourth quarter. Wade tries her luck inside. Good spin around move and just can't get it to go.
Fantastic move by Wade, and that's one she wishes she had back.
Guerra gets stuffed by Wade. Gives it to Lonegro. Has nowhere to go but up. Lonegro now with 5 points.
And the Cougars just do not have an answer for this Falcons inside offense.
Both these teams with 9 points here in the fourth quarter. And as you alluded to, Parker, even though the Cougars have been able to put together good consecutive possessions, the Falcons have done just the same. And it's made it hard for the Cougars to erase this deficit of 18 points that was at the end of the third quarter. And now a jump ball is called. Possession favors CUC. Michaela Hopkins will check in. First time we've seen her in a while. Remember, playing with 4 fouls now. Aaron Vergitz comes in for the Falcons.
And I mentioned that Michaela Hopkins would be big in the game, and right now your team's down 16, 5 minutes to go, trying to get back in this thing. Need Michaela Hopkins to play very well on defense.
And as you mentioned, 5 minutes to play in the game. The Falcons are 5-0 this season when leading with 5 minutes remaining, but Catherine Benes wants to change that narrative. Good assist from Malia Perry. Pass from way outside into the paint. McGregor fronting number 21, Aaron Vergitz, inside. Trying to eliminate the inside game for CUW. Hafman has it on the left elbow. Tries again with the left hand, and one for Hafman. Finally gets it to go. It's taken a couple tries, but Hafman now at the free throw line, trying to complete the and one play.
There's not much Malia Perry could have done right there. That was an excellent move by Emily Hafman.
Hafman with 6 rebounds, 5 assists as well. Misses the free throw, but an offensive rebound from Aubry. They go inside to Vergitz. Good move from Aaron Vergitz. Right, left, and finishes it nicely off the backboard. Malia Perry steps out of bounds right before the ball goes in. Frustration setting in for the Cougars.
And the Falcons have just been able to find ways to respond on both ends of the floor. When you have a team like that, it's going to be hard to win games.
Full timeout taken by Coach Mart and the Cougars. 3:57 remaining. CUC trails CUW 67-49. I want to take a moment to thank everybody participating in the production today on the Cougar Sports Network. Peter Borkowski, our courtside reporter. Ryan McGee, Julia Beers, Chandler Kerr, Van Gato, Stormy Devine, and Seba Miller. Thank you for all your work on the Cougar Sports Network under the direction of City Pulaski's Laher and Kayla McLeod. Right before we went to break, we saw Catherine Benes talking to her teammates, saying there's 3 minutes and 57 seconds left on the clock. Leave it all out on the court.
And Catherine Benes has been a leader for this team, and we've seen that whenever the Cougars start to lose momentum, she's been able to help the Cougars get the momentum back. She's been big. Now you just got to get your team going here in the final 4 minutes.
Back to the first matchup of the season. On November 16th, the Cougars won 67-63. All time, the Cougars 7-30 against the Falcons, 2-14 inside a Geisman Gymnasium. Move inside from Taubenheim, but a rebound from Vergitz. Possession will stay with the Falcons, 6 seconds on the shot clock.
If you're the Cougars, you desperately need a stop right here.
Guerra has it, gets inside, kicks it out to the corner, but Aubry loses it. Two leading scorers for the Falcons, Aubry with 18. And Emily Hafman to be exact, with 14. Cougars have Catherine Benes responsible for 25 and Michaela Ellis with 15. Missed 3 from Benes. Wade tried to chase it down. Senior Reagan Aubry going the other way. And now we'll start to see the Falcons slow things down. Just relentlessly attacking the paint on the Cougars. All alone near the free throw line is Lily Guerra. Guerra gets now 5 points in the game. Next to her name in the box score. Hopkins tries to take it herself, leaves it short. 2:35 remaining. Falcons up by 20.
Great response by the Falcons on the defensive end.
Three-pointer, Aubrey. She's just been unstoppable today from deep. 5 of 6. And there's been no stopping her. Cougars defense just has to watch. Bennis falling down. Able to get it in. That was an impressive layup from her.
Bennis has played well today. The Falcons' offense has just been way too much for the Cougars to handle.
Under 2 minutes to play in the game. Drive from Lonegro, puts her head down, gets it over. Taubenheim misses. Rebound by Ellis. 15 points for her. Majority of that came in the third quarter where she had 10, and she is fouled.
Nice job by Ellis. Being aggressive and attacking the paint and getting to the charity stripe.
Digging a little bit deeper into the stats today, Reagan Aubrey is now set a new career high. It was previously 17 set last season against Aurora in January, but 21 points for the senior. She's been a big reason why her team is out in front by so much. But also, too, the coaching from Stacey Brunner-Jones in this second half, and decorated career for her. Most winning coach in program history. Her team has been to the conference tournament every year of her 19 years in Mequon. And also, too, two-time conference champion, tournament champion, 7 regular season titles, 2 national appearances, and 4 NAC Coaches of the Year awards. She takes a 30-second timeout with 1:24 remaining. Cougars trail by 19. You're watching the Cougars Sports Network. Madeline Taubenheim will inbound it in front of the scorer's table. Ball will be brought up by Lily Gara. Fans, stick around for post-game recap. Parker, Peter, and I will break down today's contest for you. Final game of winter break for the Cougars. Students returning to campus on Monday to start the spring semester. Malia Perry misses. Cougars still fighting for the ball. Madeline McGrath gets it on the baseline, and Coach Martin calls a timeout. And obviously this game has gone a lot differently than how the first matchup between these two teams went in November. Down 21 points, under a minute to play. And for the Cougars, it was one of those games where it's tough to play a team so quickly after a turnaround again that knows you so well. But going forward, this is going to be a tough stretch for the Cougars because, again, those 3 away conference games, then you have 2 home games you got to get ready for CIT.
Right, and the Falcons completely flipped the script from what happened last time they played. And any Stacey Brunner-Jones coach team, it's going to be hard to beat that team twice. She's got a great squad here in Mequon.
Got the little Tennessee accent there, huh? Mequon?
Mequon?
It's Mequon.
Mequon, yep.
Most people from the Midwest will say Mequon, but
Mequon, got it.
Yeah, Mequon too. Like the little mix-in. Under a minute to play. Parker Kelly joining us on the call. Michaela Ellis, another fadeaway jumper, no good. Madeline McGrath, another offensive board. Ellis tries her luck with a three-pointer. Another rebound. And he couldn't get that to go. Allie McGregor was able to give it to Benez. And now with 35 seconds remaining, the Falcons fans that have traveled down to River Forest are starting to rise to their feet. Team on their verge of picking up their 6th win of the season. And a final bucket inside from Aaron Vergitz. Shot clock off. Catherine Bennis, fadeaway jumper, gets blocked by Vergitz. McGregor reaching over the top of number 10, Lily Guerra, as McGregor now has 4 points in the game, and the Falcons will just dribble it out. This could not be the last time we see these two teams play each other. CIT not too long out in the future, January 27th and 28th on the campus of Concordia University, Nebraska. But for the second game of the season between the Falcons and the Cougars, CUW prevails 76-55. They improved to 6-6 on the season with a 5-2 conference record. The Cougars suffer their first conference loss of the season. They go to 6-1 and 7-5 on the season. Stick around, post-game recap with Peter Borkowski, Parker Kelly, and I on the Cougar Sports Network shortly. Well, post-game recap here inside of Geisman Gymnasium. The Cougars suffer their first conference loss of the season, and it was a big one. And obviously the Falcons had a new game plan coming into this game compared to what we saw in November. But from the start, there was something different about this Falcons offense, and it was the shooting. And what we saw was Aubry really take control of the three-point ball. She had a career high, I should say, of 21 points. She finished 5 of 6 from behind the three-point arc. But the Falcons had a 13-0 run to close out the first quarter, and that was pretty indicative of how this game was going to go. What did you think?
It seems that they had really momentum the entire course of the game, and really they found a weakness inside on the Cougars' defense on the inside the paint, and the Falcons really attacked that all game long, and it turned out in their favor.
And for the Cougars offensively, Peter, what we saw was 2 scorers for CUC lead the charge. We saw Catherine Bennis finish with 27 points after her career high of 38 points in game 1 of this season. We see Michaela Ellis with 17 points. She had 10 in that third quarter. But besides that, there wasn't really anybody that stepped up for the Cougars, and it was an absent game from some of their usual playmakers.
Well, and that's really been one of the keys for the Cougars all season. I've talked about before is you need a full scoring effort from the entire team. As good as Catherine Bennis is, leading the nation in points per game, she can't do it all. And especially when teams know that she's really your only threat, they're going to double team her, they're going to triple team her, and make life as miserable as they can for her. So that's when those secondary scores really have to step up, take some of the weight off of her, and then that'll free the runway for her as well. When you know you have those other threats on the court, you got to watch for. But like you said, Carter, today was just 1-2 scores for the Cougars. It's easy to contain that many scores.
Yeah, not much you can say else about this game, but it was a great game for the Falcons, and they came to town, took care of business, and ended the undefeated streak for the Cougars in conference play. But again, maybe we'll see CIT conference tournament, a lot more in store in the long history between these two teams. The 38th installment goes in favor of the Falcons. The Cougars get ready to gear up for a road trip to Plymouth, Wisconsin to take on the Lakeland University Muskies. And for everybody here inside Geisman Gymnasium, for my partner Parker Kelly, as well as Peter Borkowski, who joined us courtside. Thank you for watching this presentation of the Cougar Sports Network. We'll see you soon for more CUC basketball. And as always, go Cougars.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.